to do some thoughts on the whole tone scale, so I figured I would upload it and maybe some other people can enjoy it as well. I'm not going to go too in depth into it, but I thought we could cover what the whole tone scale is, some ways to visualise it on the fretboard and some applications for it real quick. So the whole tone scale is, it sort of gives the game away, doesn't it? It's made up of whole tones. Let's try it from A. Now you could just move up one string until you get to an octave higher. Really easy to do that, but we could arrange it in different ways. So I'm going to play this slightly stretchy shape from A. I'm going to play 5, 7, 9, and then I could move up the whole tone to there. Just moving up in whole tones, so that immediately we start to notice some stuff. There's only 6 notes in it. There's a lot of symmetry as well, isn't there? Another whole tone to there. Stick with this, everybody should have some whole tone vocabulary. We could arrange that in different ways on the neck. So rather than moving up here quickly, this note is E flat or D sharp. So I could get that closer to home by moving up one position on the next string. Now that's straight away, you should go, oh, that's better, that's the same scale but with less movement. And that's the whole thing, that's the whole scale. Just in terms of moving that to other spots, if we can visualise our octave, you could commence with the same move from this A. It's a bit obvious, isn't it? But there we go. It's quite a nice ethereal, floaty sound, I think. So now I've got 2 octaves. Hooray. Just moving up 1 fret on each string, maintaining that shape. Now I can see another A, maybe from this A you can see your octave there. It's a bit better if you know that that's A though, rather than using an octave to find a note. You should, there's A. We do have to adjust 1 fret higher when we move from the G string to the B string, as is often the case. 1 octave's worth, 2 octaves worth, and now if I only move up 1 fret, I'm on G sharp, so that's no good. So it's probably worthwhile getting used to moving 2 frets higher and continuing from this A. And oh look, we're a whole tone away from A there. So I'd live with that for a day. Then I'd start to think about what chords will this work over? When am I ever going to use this thing? As much as I like the sound. So let's have a look at the intervals that it has. This is part 2, I guess. So it's got root, major 2nd, major 3rd. There's a little bit of theory for you, but it doesn't hurt. Root, 2nd, 3rd. Then I'd think of these next intervals, I'd think of this visualising from the root note. I'd think of this as a flat 5, and then a sharp 5. It's a bit unusual, isn't it? Then a minor 7th. So don't switch off the video just yet. Root, 2nd, 3rd. You could think of it as a sharp 4th. Jazz players or people who would use this over change of stuff would think of that as a flat 5 and then a sharp 5 and then a minor 7th. So that would go over a dominant chord. Here's a dominant chord, but it's technically an altered chord where the 5th is sharpened. So if you know this shape, sharpen that 5th. You could just call that A altered or A7 sharp 5. You could, that common shape, you could flatten the 5th, and it gives you this chord. A7 flat 5. You could just say A altered. You can think of this lastly, this is a bit of scary theory, don't worry, there's some cool licks coming. You can think of this as a dominant 7 with a sharp 11. If you move it to C, it's the Simpsons chord. Everybody knows that. You could think of it like that. So, in terms of where I would use this now, this is the good bit. you could use that wherever you've got a dominant chord with a flat 5 or sharp 5. The most common place is to sort of shoehorn this in over a blues. So if you could think, where would it be well suited? Bar 12 of a blues, that would do. That's the turnaround bar. So if you want a more floaty, sort of ethereal sound, you could do it over bar 12. Also, I'll get to this in a minute, but this would have good applications in sort of jazz fusion or having a bit of an outside sound. I'll get to that in a minute. So let's say you're playing a blues in A, and you're coming up to the turnaround. There. Now if I play this dominant chord, which should look quite familiar, that has no fifth in it, so you could just play your whole tone over the top of it. Even if I play a ninth there, yeah, still no fifth in it. So over that bar 12, you could start from E and go, play your whole tone. See how it sounds floaty and outside? And then we need the A chord again. So, slowly. To go, needs to resolve, doesn't it? It needs to go back to A. So that's one application. Just a straight run up the scale that you know lasts for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then A. Little bit more deeper theory now. Let's say you've got a minor chord vamp. You're playing maybe A Dorian for a while. Whatever you've got going on, say Dorian, jazzy, fusiony vibe. On bar 4, imagine that there is a dominant chord a fifth higher. So if it's A Dorian, this is called superimposition, you may have heard of this. Imagine on bar 4 that that chord happens, or altered chord. Even though it isn't there, imagine it's there on bar 4. So, knowing wherever the Dorian goodness that you're playing is, in this case, A minor 7, on bar 4, think a fifth higher, E altered, and play a whole tone lick from there. And then resolve it to A again. So you could be improvising around anything, and the idea here, it just really comes from minor 2-5-1. So if you're in A minor, your 2 chord would be B minor 7 flat 5. Sorry, a bit of theory here. Your 5 chord would be E altered, some kind, E altered dominant, and then back to A minor. So if you're improvising around A Dorian or A minor, get used to feeling where bar 4 is, and you're going to play over that chord that isn't there. Going to give you a nice floaty outside sound. Okay, so maybe something like, I could do with a chord here, but it'll be fine. There's bar 4. There's bar 4. So just making it up there, but let's put that E altered lick, that E whole tone lick in bar 4. You could count it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So you're imagining that E7, E altered chord is there in the last bar. One more time. Hopefully you can hear that. I'm trying to be sort of purposefully vague with this so you get used to that whole tone scale and go on a journey of discovery with this. 20 licks written out probably won't really help you all that much. Lastly, trying to visualise that in different spots and on the fly. That's where the money is, I think. So you'll notice little things, and I think these little mini epiphanies have to come from the student themselves. It sticks better if it kind of comes from you a little bit, just show you a little bit, then you go away and try and organise this scale in different spots on the neck. I like the idea that because it's whole tone, wherever you've got a note from that scale, you can just move up a whole tone, because of the symmetry of it. Also remembering just to do one position shift on a string, shift by 1 fret, shift by 1 fret, shift by 1 fret. Oops, here comes the B string, shift by, if you said 2 frets, you are right. Then you could think, okay, rather than this 3 note per string shape, I could do this. I could go that way by 1 fret. Then you start realising, oh, this thing could make augmented chords. Symmetry! Lastly, I like to arrange it in different ways. So I could play 2 notes on one string, 3 notes on the next string, 2 on the next, 3 on the next. No need to shift here. Trying to be a little bit vague here. 3 notes, 2 notes, 3 notes, 2 notes, 3 notes, 2 notes. Have fun. It's worth it, trust me.